Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be deep diving into Thorstarter, a pretty well-known decentralized launchpad created to bring cross-chain liquidity to all long-tail crypto assets. Again, you probably heard of it, but let's dive into it and see if this launchpad might be the next big thing or if it's worth investing in for you. Alright everybody, my name is Rick, welcome back. We're gonna get right into it. No point wasting time, right? So make sure to leave a like, drop a comment down below what launchpad you would like to see next, and let's get started. Thorstarter has positioned itself as the top starter multi-chain launchpad for new projects across all main blockchains. But they didn't stop there. They evolved to offer the community new ways to grow their capital. Besides premium IDOs, offering forge and staking rewards to all THORChads. Okay, so here they explain Thorstarter in 4 simple steps. We're going to go over them and then see if they're actually that simple. First step is to stake your XRUNE. This is their token which they use for everything in their launchpad. In our forge contract to gain access to Thorstarter IDOs. So we're going to move over to the forge in a bit. That's kind of their dashboard where you can do everything. In the forge, you can go ahead and, after you got yourself some XRUNE, you can go ahead and stake it. Then you can open the Thorstarter app on IDO day, find the IDO that you would like to participate in, and then commit the funds to the IDO of your choosing. Then you will simply receive project tokens at the earliest possible price. Pretty straightforward. It's not that different from other launchpads. Just make sure that you understand that the forge will be serving as your dashboard. They have a bit of a role-playing thing going on, which I like, but it does mean that they have a couple of different names for certain things that usually aren't called that way. All right, we all good? Awesome, let's move forward. Join the community. The THORChad, is that a bit cringe? Yes, but do I mind? No. Is 39,000 men strong and growing daily. So they do have a big community, that is absolutely true. You can find Thorstarter on both Telegram, Discord, YouTube, Twitter, and Medium. So definitely check it out if you are interested. Raise capital across all main blockchain networks. They list Ethereum, Phantom, and Polygon. Pretty straightforward, that's good. Here they are taking a look at their IDOs. Now, if you guys watch my reviews more often, we're gonna go into the IDOs with a lot of detail. So I'm gonna just breeze through them really quick just for now. These are their upcoming IDOs, and there we see the Maya protocol, Devispot, Void protocol, Beaver Finance, and a bunch more. And then their past IDOs, which are Colnet, Proteus, MintDAO, and more importantly over here, their own IDOs, which are THORSwap and THORwallet. They have raised a lot of XRUNE over here. I believe there's 1.5 million. And over here, they have gathered 35.7 Ethereum, which is roughly 36,000 US dollars, which is of course a very big amount. Of course, we're not talking about amounts like DAO Maker, but again, this launchpad is big, but it's not a tier 1 launchpad. So these amounts are still pretty significant. Then we see a council of the best and brightest, which are essentially their partners. I have 2 things that I'm noticing. Number 1, there is not a whole lot of partners listed here. And number 2, Terra. Yeah, well, if you guys have followed my market overviews, Terra isn't doing so well. Of course, they have been caught up in some massive economic problems. Watch my market overviews if you want to learn more about that. So Terra I wouldn't view as the best partner to currently list down. THORChain is pretty cool. For those of you who aren't aware, they are actually the Rune coin. So they are working together a lot. As the coin of this launchpad is actually XRUNE, which is going for 1 cent, and Rune is currently going for 2.18. Moving over to their FAQ, we see a couple of points. There's a lot of stuff over here. I'm not going to go over everything. I'm going to go over the important stuff, right? That's why you guys watch the review, so you don't have to go through all of the bull crap, so to speak. We see here, what is the difference between XRUNE and Rune? XRUNE has a different tokenomics and governance structure, and XRUNE price is not one-to-one to Rune, though both tokens act as a settlement currency. What is XRUNE? Thorstarter uses XRUNE as a settlement currency between new projects and THORChain's active pools. Rune Pool in THORChain act as a liquidity layer between short tail and long tail assets. Then we have their team. Their team is not publicly doxed. Again, the Launchpad is big enough that you might already know it, but small enough that they still can get away with not being doxed. Again, if they have ambitions to grow even further, this is going to be something that has to be done. I understand that there are always risks with putting yourself out there and doxing yourself and your team, but if I'm going to invest serious amounts, I don't want to do it to Compound 22. I want to know who is behind all of this. I haven't heard any news of them actually working towards it or already starting the process of being doxed, getting doxed. They seem to not be doing it just now, which is alright, it's fine, it's not the worst, but I personally really enjoy seeing a team that is doxed, so I'm really hoping that they'll do it soon, but for now, tough luck. I didn't find it very clearly in their FAQ, but I can let you guys know right now that KYC will be required for the majority of this Launchpad, but not for all aspects of it. KYC will be required on the borrower side, but lenders simply need to deposit assets into their smart contract like any other DeFi protocol. And then over here, we actually have the Forge. Like I said before, this is your space, right? This is your dashboard. From here, you can actually go and farm. You can have your governance. You can participate in the IDOs, and this is where the magic is going to happen. This is also where you're going to be staking your tokens. Now, important thing to note, all of these IDOs are past IDOs. You cannot access them right now. Normally, you will be able to click on them and participate. If you want to see how that looks, there is an amazing YouTube video here on the Team Thorstarter channel. You simply click on the playlist, and here you have a pretty in-depth tutorial on how to actually participate. Then over here we have the tier system. We have 5 tiers in total, from 2.5 thousand all the way to 100,000. We see allocation multipliers ranging from 40 to 1. I'm not seeing any lottery tiers, meaning that they have only guaranteed allocations most likely. Now, how much is this actually going to cost you? It's a pretty simple calculation. We see that the XRUNE is currently going for 1 cent, meaning that if you want to get the highest, the biggest tier, you will be paying 1,000 US dollars. For the first tier, it's actually going to be a heck of a lot cheaper. You will be paying $25. So for such a big launchpad, it is pretty interesting to see that the cheapest tier is only $25 and that the most expensive tier is only 1,000. Nevertheless, I do see this as a big positive, yet we are still seeing that they are getting a E rating, meaning that they do not have a good score on both development, sentiment, community awareness, credibility, and volume. Is this actually true? We're gonna find out when we dive in a little bit deeper. What is certainly true is that they don't have their full profile done. They don't have all of the necessary data points. They're missing a trading profile, a Reddit, a Bitcoin talk thread, and of course they do not have a doxed team. Like I said before, they do have a very big social. They also actually have a GitHub, which I forgot to mention earlier. Then you guys have all been waiting for it. We're gonna dive deep into the Thorstarter Whitepaper. So this is quite a bit. We're gonna go over everything in a lot of detail. So I hope you guys have some coffee for the road. So they're marketing themselves as the Valhalla venture. They've been using the font of Valheim. If you guys don't know, that is a game. Pretty popular one, in fact, and I like it. It looks really cool. Thorstarter was conceived as a liquidity relayer and IDO platform for the THORChain ecosystem to allow long-tail crypto assets to launch smoothly with deep liquidity from the start. However, since conception, our scope has expanded beyond being only multi-chain liquidity relayer and launchpad. The Thorstarter treasury has increasingly expanded the scope of our investments to include not just IDO liquidity grants, but seed investments of every kind, NFT project, and post-IDOs. It's interesting to see that they have such ambitions. Again, like I said before, if you have ambitions and you want to get big tier 1, then you really need to get docked. So it's kind of counterintuitive to see them talk about their ambition so much and their growth so much, yet I feel like they're not taking all the necessary steps to actually become an established tier 1 launchpad or anything close to it. The problem with short tail crypto assets. In its current state, THORChain doesn't yet bind all cryptocurrencies together. Instead, it limits the number of available assets, which can pool with XRUNE, and thus access multi-chain swaps. THORChain is excellent when it comes to supporting economically significant assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB. But long-tail assets cannot access THORChain's cross-chain liquidity unless they're approved by the protocol. Not only does this make THORChain an unfair launch platform, but it also limits the liquidity available to investors. A solution to this problem is therefore needed. One which supports smaller long-tail crypto assets and creates a fair approach to launches. This solution is XRUNE. So that is the whole reason why they actually decided to introduce a second coin, and that is why you're not working with XRUNE on this launchpad, but with XRUNE mostly. The primary functions of XRUNE are as followed. First, Thorstarter offers our partner projects the opportunity to have an XRUNE paired liquidity pool on THORChain. LPs earn fees in both XRUNE and XRUNE based on the volume of transactions occurring between these assets by block. This follows the standard reward model of all other approved XRUNE asset pools on THORChain. Go very in depth on their network security. In short, yes, their security is fine. They have slow rollout and deployment, simple contracts, code updates, adhering to blockchain properties, and security audit. Alright, moving over to actually something interesting. Here we have the roadmap, and they have divided their progress and their intentions in 3 different phases. The first one being the D-app build and launchpad DAO, the second one being the IDOs and DEX improvements, and the third one being the ongoing IDOs and protocol work. Let's move into the first phase, which is currently where the project is in. The first phase of Thorstarter development is currently underway. The project will entail a forked version of AsgardX, with specific kept intact and other omitted. The end user will arrive at the Thorstarter website and be able to choose from the app. Available IDO projects, token, farms, governance, FAQ. Estimated time to complete phase 1 development is approximately 10 weeks. After that, they're going to move to phase 2 and then to phase 3. And after that, they are going to add new things to the white paper, or at least to the website, and they're going to release new phases after that. But for now, they want to keep it simple and they're not going to go into too far into the future. Then we have their tokenomics. It is a bit of an interesting tokenomics, so I feel like we should take our time to look at this in as much detail as possible. We have 15% for the operational treasury, we have 7.5% for the community treasury, we have 27.5% for the ecosystem fund, 7.5% emission private, emission team will be 11%, emission DAO will be 6.5%, emission ecosystem liquidity will be 25%. Now what we're seeing is they're only giving 11% to the team. However, on the website they stated that they have a large team working on Thorstarter. So I think it's pretty cool to see that they have gone for this decision. I have seen much smaller teams putting 20% into the team. So it does seem like a lot of that has eventually found its way to the ecosystem fund mostly. And another observation here is that they have put, I believe, a lot of the percentage that normally would have been in team into their liquidity. Emission ecosystem liquidity has over 25% of the tokenomics, which is a very large amount, especially because there's already 27.5% in the ecosystem fund. The total amount will be 1 billion, and here they will have their emission schedule with everything laid out for you guys. You can always pause it and look at it in more detail if you wish to do so. Here we have some more skill details. Of course, their total supply will be 1 billion XRUNE. Initial circulating supply will only be 500 million. Public sale circulating supply will be 150 million. Private sale price will be 0.02 USD. Strategic will be only 0.01 USD. And public listing price starts at the price of XRUNE on THORChain at the end of the strategic round. Total amount raised 1.5 million USD and total XRUNE sold at 10%. Here we see the private, strategic and the public rounds. So we're not seeing a huge price difference here between private and strategic, which is relatively common. The strategic venue was THORChain and the public venue ended up being SushiSwap. And that's about all for their tokenomics. Overall, pretty straightforward apart from a pretty large sum into their liquidity and less percentage into their team. Here we see their FAQ. We already went over it quite a lot, so I'm not going to go too in depth on their whitepaper FAQ. What is worth mentioning, however, is that they also have another token, which is XRUNE, which is Thorstarter's governance token. It is a tradable ERC20 token. Find out more over here, and then they have a link towards Gitbook. I'm not going to go too far into it because it is not really incredibly relevant for the Launchpad as a whole. It is mainly designed for the governance. As we can see right here, it is made for the Thorstarter community to participate in protocol governance by locking up the protocol tokens, XRUNE, which in turn gives community stakeholders the right to create proposals and vote on active proposals or pool, giving the community a right to vote and creating their own token to make that run smoothly. How do you obtain the XRUNE? You can easily mint new VXRUNE by locking up some XRUNE. Inversely, you can always convert back VXRUNE to XRUNE plus any fees collected. Also give you rewards. Claimable rewards for holders will be determined by a snapshot. A page will be made available for holders for VXRUNE to claim their pending rewards. So thus far it is mostly just rewards and governance and voting that will be done through that token. Then how does their voting actually work? Proposals may include allocation of DAO treasury and resources, changes and selection of Thorstarter oracles, which determine the price. Wait, actually, let me just go back here. Change and selection of Thorstarter oracles. So you can actually have a say in the oracles, which will then actually determine the prices. That is quite a lot of power there. New launch parameters and futures, upgrade to the governance model, including buyback and burn mechanisms, liquidity pool rewards, and incentives for LPS stakers. Importantly, we'll decide in a consensus how to distribute the DAO Treasury Fund to pay for ongoing operational expenses, new hires, and protocol upgrades. The Thorstarter governance model launches with the adaptability in mind. With the white paper out of the way, we are moving over to social media where we have a very easy starter guide for Thorstarter. Now this is mainly for people that have already made up their mind and they want to get started. Now this thread is very nice and it gives super information. It is a day one guide. With some funny Pepe, Thorstarter is a venture DAO and IDO launchpad for our community, gets exclusive SL. We know that already. They talk a little bit about the forge and how it works. The amount you deposit in the forge will credit you with an allocation multiplier, which determines the max amount you can participate in each IDO. At any rate, it goes a little bit forward into actually everything we've already discussed. But if you want a very quick summary, then this thread is awesome for that. Like I said before, they also do have a Medium. They seem to have a bunch of pinned articles here that they really want everyone to read. They post relatively often, kind of. Their last post was here at the 21st of June. And after that, we've had one at the 17th of May and the 20th of April. So it's not very consistent. It's not very often, but they do have a blog post every once in a while. And you can hardly expect them to post one like every day. So it's not necessarily anything bad. As for their Telegram, it is really, really big. They have more than 11.4 thousand members and currently 685 online. Now, why does it matter how many people are online? Because if you have, let's say, 20,000 members and you only have 10 people online, then it probably means that it's all bots. This looks like a pretty even distribution of people online, so that is awesome. They seem to be fairly active. And I don't really I've went through the Telegram quite a lot, and I haven't actually seen any negative things. There's not people complaining about anything or asking questions. No money that hasn't been given, or just an overall negative sentiment. I couldn't find that per se. We do here, for instance, have someone that mistakenly, accidentally staked, whereas he actually wanted to deposit to the Forge. Someone actually noticed that they are a full stack developer, and the Thorstarter team actually asked them to reach out to them. At any rate, overall a pretty good sentiment here in the Telegram community, and a pretty big one too. Moving over to their Twitter, we are seeing the same. We're seeing 38.5 thousand Twitter followers, which is definitely not small. It is a big following. Quite funny they put that they are based in Valhalla. They definitely take their role very serious here. They are posting very actively. Their latest post was 12 hours ago. It's actually a meme. Let's see if this is funny, guys. Funny memes equals good Launchpad. When are you going to stop all this THORChain stuff? You're starting to sound like my ex-wife. I didn't know you've been married before. I haven't. Bit of a dad joke. Did anyone laugh in the comments? No one laughed in the comments. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Feels bad. I would cry. Me personally, I would be crying. For the rest, they give more so kind of updates on obviously THORChain and everything that's happening. They seem to be having a lot of interaction here with 51 retweets, 220 likes, and 11 comments. Everyone seems to be very happy with it as well. They love what they're posting, and they seem to be very positive. So we're seeing a very, very active community here. Moving on to the advisors, we are seeing Coleslaw, that's a difficult one. We're seeing Oaksprout, The Larry, and 0x Saigon. Now they have put the Discord tags, I believe this is under the name, and the advisors also aren't doxed. They are here with their profile pictures. I don't recognize any of them right off the bat, but yeah, there you have it. These are the 4 advisors that are working with Thorstarter. Here we see a couple more backers actually that we didn't see on the homepage. We're seeing Coab, Meta Constant, 9 Realms, True Ventures, Next Ventures, Proof Group, Malback, and Brilliance Ventures. Here we see their tokenomics again, but then on their website, I feel like this is much less in depth. It's actually just not true as to what they put on their white paper. They have a 27.5% ecosystem fund, 15% operational treasury, 7.5% community treasury, and 50% protocol emission. They also have a Thorstarter saga, which is essentially just their chapters. If you click on it, I'm saying essentially like you're supposed to know what the hell that means, right? Don't worry, I'm going to get into it. So essentially, it can be kind of explained as a roadmap. They put their progression and their plans into chapters, which are essentially just goals. And they give the chapter a nice fitting roleplay name, and they make it look nice. And yeah, that's kind of just what they do. We have here chapter 1, Genesis, chapter 2, Coming of Midgard, and chapter 3, Age of Asgard. And all of those are, Northern mythology, Viking type of names there as well. Then moving forward to some of their prior projects, as we can see on their homepage, I'm gonna leave the little beaver for just a second and move back over here. We are seeing that they have a bunch of upcoming IDOs. Now they give a little bit of information here on it and the social media, but it's not a lot. So I actually took the liberty to move over to their actual website and see what kind of IDOs are they going to be doing and what kind of IDOs did they already do. Single asset yield enhancing and next gen option based impermanent loss hedging protocol. That is a mouthful, wow. Beaver automatically and efficiently manages impermanent loss for you, so you can focus on earning more rewards. Beaver is DeFi first single asset yield enhancing protocol that combines liquidity mining with a next gen European option based impermanent loss hedging solution. Beaver provides a far more robust and efficient solution to drive decentralized and liquidity and unlock maximum capital and efficiency in DeFi. So they have a lot of difficult terminology here. They're definitely not for beginners. But in short, dynamic asset location, impermanent loss hedging, security, and fully automatic operations. The design looks pretty cool. I love the little beavers. They look really cute. And I think this is actually looking like a pretty interesting project. Over on Twitter, they're not that big. They have 2.7 thousand followers based in New York. And it really doesn't look that bad, actually. Their community seems to be, well, I don't know actually about that. This said it had 41 comments, but I'm only seeing 2 of them, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just really bad at Twitter. Over here they only have 4 likes, but over here they have a lot more. Oh, it's their pinned comment. All right, makes sense. Okay, well, I'm not sure about Beaver Finance. I mean, it's definitely looking like it's a pretty well thought out project, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. This is obviously just one of their upcoming projects. It might be way more beneficial to look at some of their prior ones. We're seeing mine with, like we talked about before, a huge raised amount of more than 35 Ethereum. But let's actually look at one ring to yield them all. Oh man, you can never get crazier, right? These days. One Ring is a multi-chain cross-stable yield optimization platform. Forget about spending hours of looking for the best farms out there. We do it automatically for you. That is really cool. And not to mention that the project did very, very well as it raised, how much is this? What is this? 800,000 USDC with a vesting of 25% TGE. So that is a pretty promising project that they did there, which seemed to have gone pretty well. And of course their own projects as well, not to mention Thor Wallet and Thor Swap. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait for more projects to come up, but hopefully we'll do that soon. We're in such a bear market. That's just how it is right now. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching to this video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.